Hey guys, tonight we slip quietly into a world of velvet, powder, and rose oil, where the cost of beauty in Renaissance Italy wasn't just measured in ducats, but in breathless gasps of lead and sweat-soaked bodices. You're standing in front of a cracked Venetian mirror, the air thick with the heady scent of jasmine and the gentle squeak of silk gowns swaying around you. This is no fairy tale. Here, beauty is both a cage and a currency, and you're about to see why you probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know in the comments, where in the world are you listening from? And what time is it there? Midnight in Paris? Dawn in Florence? I love hearing from you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Let's begin, and by the end, maybe you'll see a part of yourself in a world 500 years old. Your feet sink into plush carpet as you take your first steps into the dressing room, where every surface seems to glow under the flicker of 100 beeswax candles. Gold-framed mirrors reflect your hesitant gaze, each one showing you a different angle of your own vulnerability. There's a rustle of silk as maids bustle around you, their faces tight with the practiced seriousness of centuries-old ritual. You're about to be transformed from a weary mortal into a vision of noble beauty. And it's a transformation that costs far more than mere coin. The air is sweet with lavender sachets tucked into the folds of your dress. But underneath it all lurks the iron tang of lead powders. You catch the briefest glimmer of a silver dish piled high with Venetian ceruse, a mixture of white lead and vinegar that promises a deathly pallor and the illusion of ageless skin. They say this beauty secret was imported straight from the canals of Venice, a city that's always had a flair for mixing elegance with danger. As your maid begins to powder your cheeks, you feel the grainy paste settle into your pores, cool and almost soothing in its first touch. But you've read enough to know the truth. It's poison disguised as perfection. Historians still argue whether noble women in the Renaissance fully understood the risks of these lead-laced potions, or if they turned a blind eye in pursuit of fleeting admiration. Either way, the powder is ground so fine it clings to your skin like a second ghostly face. You lean in closer to the mirror, fingers brushing the velvet edge of your bodice. Your reflection is already changing. The faint flush of your skin is replaced by an ethereal pallor, the kind of glow that suggests noble blood and ancient lineage. But beneath that glow is a tightness in your chest, a whisper of lead dust in every breath you take. Your hair, too, demands a ritual of its own. A maid stands behind you with a heated iron, carefully twisting each strand into perfect, gleaming curls that defy the weight of the humid evening air. The heat nips at your scalp, and you wonder how many noble women lost more than a few strands of hair in these relentless attempts at beauty. There's a joke that no one would dare to say aloud here. What's more dangerous than a jealous husband? A hot iron in a maid's hand. The silks and velvets are laid out on a carved oak table, each one more lavish than the last. You run your fingers over them. Burgundy so deep it's almost black. Forest green that shimmers in the candlelight. Golden brocade that glows like a summer sunrise. These fabrics are the currency of noble beauty, each thread a testament to wealth and power. And they're heavy too. Each layer adds another pound, another ounce of burden to your already aching shoulders. But you're not just dressing for yourself. Every glance, every hushed whisper that trails through the palace corridors depends on how you appear tonight. You're a walking advertisement for your family's power, a silent testament to alliances forged and fortunes made. The weight of expectation hangs on your shoulders as heavily as the brocade gown that's about to be laced around your ribs. There's a superstition whispered by the maids as they tighten the laces. The tighter the corset, the higher the chance for a noble marriage. You half laugh, half wince as you remember that historians still argue whether these tight-laced corsets were truly a choice or a quiet surrender to a system that demanded beauty at any cost. Your breath shortens, your spine straightens, and you feel like a prize ready to be displayed. As you glide your fingertips across the polished wood of the dressing table, you catch a glimmer of an amulet tucked under a stack of lace. It's a tiny silver charm, engraved with the Madonna's gentle face, an unspoken prayer for protection in a world that can be as cruel as it is beautiful. You tuck it into your bodice, feeling the cold metal press against your skin. Outside, the muted sounds of a lute drift through the courtyard, the melody weaving around the scent of night-blooming jasmine. But you barely hear it over the rush of your own heartbeat, a rhythm that seems to echo the whispers of every woman who came before you. Here, in this candlelit chamber of beauty and burden, you stand on the edge of something that could either lift you up or pull you down forever. And as your maid leans in with one last swirl of powder, you close your eyes and take a slow, shallow breath, praying that tonight, at least, the cost of beauty won't claim more than just a single layer of your soul. Your eyes flutter open, adjusting to the flickering candlelight as the powder settles on your skin. Venetian ceruse, they call it, a foundation so luminous it could fool even the sharpest courtier's gaze. The irony isn't lost on you. This luminous glow, so admired, is a poison that seeps into your blood. But for now, it's a promise of beauty, too alluring to refuse. You watch the maid's careful hands as she smooths the thick paste across your forehead, each gentle pat whispering of both devotion and danger. The room is heavy with the faint scent of vinegar, a reminder that ceruse isn't just lead. It's a mix of lead and spirits, a concoction that would make any modern dermatologist weep. But in the Renaissance, pale skin was the mark of nobility, proof that you didn't toil in the sun, that your family's wealth could afford you hours of idleness indoors. You try not to flinch as the cool paste touches your temples, seeping into every crease and line. There's a myth that this white mask hides not just imperfections, but entire lives, like a shield of powdered armor. Historians still argue whether noble women knew the dangers, or whether the knowledge was too frightening to face. You decide it doesn't really matter in the end. Tonight, you're a ghostly goddess, and the lead is just a price you'll pay tomorrow. As your maid dips her fingers into the next dish, you catch the glint of a tiny silver spoon, a luxury for the noble classes, since silver was believed to keep poisons at bay. She scoops the shimmering paste with the precision of a court alchemist, and for a moment, you imagine yourself as a kind of human canvas. Every stroke of white led an artist's line, every swirl of powder a declaration of who you're supposed to be. There's a gentle joke in the air, one of those whispered asides meant to break the tension. If your skin doesn't glow like the moon, you're practically a peasant. You smile faintly at the absurdity of it, but it's true. In this world of velvet and gilt, appearances are everything. And if the moon's glow requires a bit of alchemy, so be it. The powder cakes around your mouth, and you resist the urge to lick your lips. You've heard stories, some true, some exaggerated, of women whose lips cracked and bled under the weight of this lethal beauty. But the alternative is worse. To be plain, to be overlooked, to be invisible. The room smells faintly of lavender water, an attempt to mask the sour tang of vinegar and lead. You wonder if that lavender was gathered from the hills of Florence, or if it's just another imported luxury from France. A thin sheen of sweat prickles at your hairline, but the maid's careful dabbing ensures no smudge will show. You're meant to be a living statue, every angle of your face sharp and deliberate. And as she moves to your jawline, you tilt your head obediently, feeling the cold weight of the silver dish in your lap. The final step is a dusting of crushed pearls. Yes, actual pearls, ground to a fine shimmer and pressed into the powdery mask. It's an extravagance that speaks to your family's fortune, but also to the desperation of noble beauty. Historians still argue whether these pearls truly brighten the skin, or if it was all a matter of perception, an illusion created by candlelight and collective wishful thinking. As the maid finishes, you feel your skin tightening under the layers of powder. You can't help but think of the dozens of portraits you've seen, noble women immortalized in oils with impossibly pale faces. Now you understand the real price behind those paintings. It's not just about beauty. It's about survival in a world that trades in appearances like currency. You press your fingertips gently to your cheek, half expecting them to sink right through the powder and reveal the truth beneath. But no, your face is smooth, flawless, and as pale as a winter moon. You look like you belong in a Botticelli painting, every inch of you a silent promise to the world. The maid steps back, her face momentarily lit by a flicker of admiration, or maybe pity. She knows as you do that this glow won't last, that tomorrow your skin might itch and burn, that the lead will seep deeper into your pores. But for tonight, you're radiant, and that's all that matters. A draft rustles through the heavy velvet curtains, carrying with it the distant notes of a lute. You close your eyes and let the music wash over you, a lullaby for a face that's both shield and prison. The candles flicker in rhythm to the melody, and for a brief, fleeting moment, you almost believe this is enough. But beneath the glow and the hush of the dressing room, there's a flicker of doubt, an echo of every woman who's ever looked into a cracked mirror and wondered, is this beauty worth the price? You take a slow breath, feeling the weight of the lead on your skin and the weight of history in your chest. And as you rise from the dressing table, careful not to disturb the perfect mask, you can't help but wonder what tomorrow's glow will cost you next. You stand still for a moment, taking in the final reflection of your powdered face before the next stage begins. Your maid sets aside the silver dish, her movements swift and practiced. Now it's time to crown your head with the towering marvels of Renaissance hair. A second maid arrives, balancing a wooden box that looks heavy enough to hold secrets. Inside, combs carved from ivory, bone needles, and lengths of silk ribbon await their turn. You close your eyes as she begins to work, each tug and twist a silent testament to your patience. Your hair is brushed until it gleams like chestnut silk, but that's only the beginning. In this world, hair isn't just hair, it's architecture, And tonight, your scalp will become the foundation for a creation that might scrape the heavens themselves. There's a whispered joke in the room. Hair as high as heaven, but heavy as sin. You'd laugh if your scalp didn't already feel tight from the first winding of the braid. The maid teases your hair into thick ropes, twisting them around padded rolls that will give your head its signature height. Each strand is woven with delicate care, but the tug at your roots is relentless. You remember reading somewhere that the higher the hair, the closer to God, though it seems to you that this is more a matter of vanity than piety. Historians still argue whether these lofty hairstyles were inspired by religious devotion or the simpler desire to show off. You suspect it was both, a convenient blend of faith and fashion. The scent of rosewater fills the air as she dips her fingers into a tiny bottle, smoothing the fragrant oil along your hairline. This is a luxury, a sign of your status. You think of the women who gather rose petals in the cool dawn, crushing them into oil that will spend its life glistening on another woman's brow. The scent is heady, dizzying, and you find yourself swaying slightly, balanced between reverence and resignation. The maid hums softly as she works, a lilting melody that seems to echo from the gilded ceiling. She binds the braids with silk ribbons, deep emerald and rich burgundy, colors that proclaim your family's wealth to anyone who dares to look. The weight of the hair grows with every knot and twist, and you begin to understand why so many noble women walked with such careful, deliberate grace. One wrong move, and the entire tower might collapse. You catch a glimpse of your profile in the mirror, a silhouette straight out of a painting, your neck long and delicate beneath the towering crown. The effect is striking, but also precarious. Your head feels like it's been claimed by another force, an external weight that demands your every movement be measured and precise. A soft cough breaks the quiet, and a third maid steps forward with a fine-toothed comb. She begins to smooth the flyaway hairs, murmuring that every detail matters. You can feel her breath, warm and steady, and you think of all the countless women who have sat in this same chair, enduring the same ritual of transformation. There's a fringe detail, one that's almost too absurd to believe. Some noble women, especially in Florence, would pluck the hairline to create a higher forehead, the so-called egg-shaped brow that was the height of fashion. You shudder at the thought of tearing hair from your own scalp, but you know that in a world where beauty is power, pain is just another tool in the arsenal. The maids step back, admiring their handiwork. Your hair stands like a monument to both your status and your endurance, a towering edifice that seems to touch the heavy velvet drapes. It's almost enough to make you laugh, how these elaborate styles can turn a woman's head into both a crown and a cage. You tilt your head slightly, testing the weight. It's not easy. Every movement has to be slow and deliberate, or the whole structure might shift. You wonder if this is how soldiers feel, balanced under the weight of steel helmets, except your battle tonight is fought in a ballroom, not a battlefield. Historians still argue whether these hairstyles were a symbol of noble grandeur or simply another layer of self-imposed imprisonment. You feel the truth is somewhere in the middle, a ritual of power, a way to stand taller in a world that often wants to make women small. A faint smile touches your lips. If nothing else, you're ready to command the gaze of every eye in the room, if only to hide the quiet ache in your scalp. You smooth your skirts, feeling the soft crush of velvet against your palms. Outside the door, you can hear the soft chatter of courtiers gathering, their laughter as light as the flicker of the candelabras. And you, towering and silent, are ready to join them. Each step a careful dance to keep your head held high, even if it means your neck is already begging for mercy. As you step away from the dressing table, your reflection is no longer just yours. It's a composite of every noblewoman who's ever played this game, a testament to centuries of quiet, graceful suffering in the name of beauty. You take a breath, steady and shallow, and prepare to glide forward, every inch of you a living monument to the cost of noble beauty. You move carefully, feeling the shift of every braid and twist above you. The wooden floor beneath your velvet slippers creaks softly, a reminder that even in these palaces of polished marble and intricate tapestries, the world can still betray a moment of imbalance. As you make your way down the hall, you catch sight of a few noble ladies gathered near a window, their jeweled fans fluttering like butterflies. The air in this corridor is heavy with the mingled scents of rose and musk. But as you near the gathering, another scent catches your attention. Something acrid, something real. It's the subtle tang of sweat beneath layers of perfume and powder, a truth no amount of rosewater can fully mask. You realize that behind every sweet scent lies the inescapable truth of the human body, a truth no noble lady can fully banish. One of the ladies tilts her head back, revealing a tiny pomander hanging from a gold chain around her neck. It's a small, ornate sphere filled with herbs and spices, cloves, cinnamon, lavender, intended to guard her from the ever-present stench of the streets and the sweat of crowded rooms. You recognize it instantly, a nosegay, a sweet pouch that's both a luxury and a necessity in these close quarters. You remember reading that these pomanders were more than just fashionable. Historians still argue whether their primary use was to mask body odor or to protect against disease. After all, in a world where plague was never far away, a fragrant balm could be both a shield and a comfort. You lean in closer to the lady's necklace, breathing in the soft, spicy scent of clove that promises to keep the world's foulest truths at bay. Your own maid has tucked a small nosegay into the lace of your bodice, a fragrant bouquet of rosemary and dried rose petals, crushed just enough to release their oils with every breath you take. The scent is a small mercy against the weight of your hair and the tightness of your bodice. You can almost pretend that the air itself is pure, that the world outside this palace doesn't stink of tanneries, open sewers, and the sweat of unwashed bodies. There's a light-hearted joke among the ladies. Better to smell of cloves than of sweat. And you find yourself smiling despite the stiffness in your neck. It's a kind of gallows humor, the sort that acknowledges the absurdity of this endless war against the nose's betrayal. You wonder if they ever tire of it, or if this constant battle to smell like a rose garden is just another part of the endless dance of courtly life. The conversation drifts to the latest shipment of perfumed oils from Florence, rumored to contain a rare blend of ambergris, whale secretion turned luxury scent, and the whispers are hushed, reverent. You let their chatter wash over you like music, each note another reminder that even in this world of silks and pearls, the human body refuses to be silenced entirely. A maid slips by with a basket of fresh herbs, the bright green of mint and the silvery shimmer of sage peeking through the weave. She moves quickly, almost invisible, but you notice the way her eyes flicker toward your nosegay. There's a shared understanding there, a brief acknowledgement that for all the power and beauty in this room, every woman here is still at the mercy of the same body, the same fears. Historians still argue whether the obsession with perfumes and scented waters was a sign of Renaissance elegance or an admission of an era's filth. You suspect it's both, a fragrant mask for a world that could be as rank as it was refined. And as you stand there, inhaling the sweet scent of rosemary, you feel the truth settle deep in your chest like a sigh. Your neck aches from the weight of your hair. Your ribs whisper with every breath. And yet the scent of your nosegay makes it almost bearable. Almost. You catch the gaze of another lady across the room, her face framed in a halo of lead-white powder and curls as high as yours. There's a flicker of something in her eyes. Envy, perhaps, or sympathy. You're not sure. But in that glance, you see yourself reflected back. A woman held together by pins and powder, scent and silk, all for the sake of a fleeting moment of admiration. You shift your weight, careful not to disturb the fragile tower of your hair. The sweet pouch at your chest crushes slightly with the movement, releasing another breath of rosemary into the air. You close your eyes for a moment and let the scent ground you, a small, defiant act of comfort in a world that demands your perfection. And as you open your eyes and join the murmuring group of ladies, you realize that every breath is both a rebellion and a surrender, an acknowledgement that even the most carefully cultivated beauty cannot escape the scent of being alive. The room around you seems to soften as you step away from the fragrant huddle of noble women. Your gaze settles on a low wooden tub in the corner, half hidden behind a silk screen painted with frolicking cherubs and climbing vines. Bathing, such a simple word, but here it's a ritual that straddles the line between luxury and risk. The maid gestures to the steaming tub, her hand deft and silent. You've heard the whispers that swirl like steam above the water. A bath is a decadent pleasure, but also a dangerous invitation. In the Renaissance, water was both feared and revered, its ability to cleanse tempered by a constant anxiety about opening the pores and letting illness creep in. Historians still argue whether these fears were superstition or a grudging acknowledgement of the realities of disease. You slip behind the screen, the air thick with the sweet, sharp tang of lavender oil added to the bath. The wooden tub creaks under your weight as you lower yourself in, careful not to disturb the carefully powdered face you wear like a second skin. The water is warm, almost hot, and for a moment you allow yourself the luxury of a slow exhale, the heat seeping into your aching shoulders. The steam rises around you in soft white curls, turning the tiny chamber into a private sanctuary. Here, the courtly perfumes fade, replaced by the raw, honest scent of hot water and herbal oils. It's a reminder that beneath the powder and velvet, you're still flesh and bone, fragile, fallible, real. You close your eyes, listening to the faint echo of laughter from the corridors beyond. There's a comfort in this small, hidden moment, even as you know it can't last. The water carries whispers of both luxury and vulnerability. Noble women might bathe in rosewater, but they also know that too much water is said to weaken the body, to let in fevers and chills. A maid stands near the screen, a linen cloth draped over her arm, ready to dab your skin dry at a moment's notice. She hums softly, a song as old as the cracked tiles beneath your feet. You wonder if she knows the same stories you do, of women who took too many baths and wasted away, of physicians who claimed that warm water could unmoor the very soul from the body, You run your fingers through the water, feeling the silky slip of oil against your skin. There's a certain decadence in this moment, a fleeting sense that you're not just a pawn in a game of appearances, but a creature of warmth and softness. The maid adds a few sprigs of rosemary to the tub, their scent mingling with the lavender in a soothing haze. You tilt your head back, feeling the weight of your hair and the powdered mask above it all, and you wonder how many other women have sat here, letting the water hold them like a secret. Historians still argue whether these moments of luxury were truly restorative or merely a pause before the next performance. You suspect they were both, a brief chance to remember what it feels like to be alive, unarmored and unadorned. A faint smile curves your lips as the maid gently begins to pour warm water over your shoulders, careful not to touch your painted face. The sensation is both intimate and impersonal, a reminder that your body is both yours and theirs, cared for, tended, but never fully your own. The water grows cooler, and you know it's time to rise. With a final, reluctant sigh, you stand, feeling the cold rush of air against your damp skin. The maid wraps you in a linen towel, the fabric rough and reassuring. You step from the tub, each movement deliberate and slow, as though your body is learning again how to carry the weight of noble beauty. As you emerge from behind the screen, your reflection in the tall mirror is a vision of damp velvet and clinging linen. The powder on your face remains untouched, a flawless mask above the flushed heat of your shoulders. You feel both reborn and burdened, every inch of you a testament to the constant balancing act of survival and seduction. And as you glide back to the dressing table, the soft rustle of linen against your skin, you realize that in this world of velvet and candlelight, even the simple act of bathing is both a rebellion and a surrender, a moment of private solace in a life that demands everything and more. The dressing table is still warm with the glow of candlelight as you settle back into your seat, hair still damp from the bath, but perfectly arranged by the maid's swift fingers. Now, it's time to turn those pale painted eyes into windows of mystery or danger. A small bottle of clear liquid catches your attention. Belladonna. You've heard the name whispered in both admiration and caution, like a secret that can't decide if it wants to save or destroy. The maid holds the vial delicately, its glass sides catching the candle's flicker as she tilts it, measuring out a single drop onto a thin reed. She leans closer, and you brace yourself for the sting as the liquid touches the corner of your eye. It's a slow burn that settles into your vision, turning the world watery and bright. Belladonna, beautiful lady, a name as alluring as its purpose. One drop, and your pupils bloom into black pools, making your eyes shine with a feverish, haunting glow. You blink, and the candlelight seems to ripple. Historians still argue whether this was truly an everyday practice for noble women, or whether only the most daring risked the consequences. After all, belladonna was as poisonous as it was bewitching, enough to cloud the mind if used carelessly. But tonight, the risk is as much a part of the performance as the velvet gown you wear. Your maid's careful hands tilt your chin upward, inspecting the glassy stare she's conjured. In the Renaissance, those wide, dark eyes were the mark of an enchanting gaze, mysterious, aloof, impossible to ignore. There's a joke, half true, half warning, that the wider the eyes, the easier to steal a man's soul. You smile faintly at that, even as your vision swims a little. The world around you shimmers with a sharp, almost surreal clarity. The painted cherubs on the walls seem to dance, their painted wings flickering in the low light. You steady yourself with a breath, one hand pressed lightly to the carved arm of your chair. The beauty of this moment is undeniable, fragile, shimmering, and just a little bit dangerous. You feel a faint flush in your cheeks, a warmth that has nothing to do with the bath water and everything to do with the thrill of transformation. The maid steps back, her face reflecting your own unease. She knows the price of this beauty, even if she'll never say it aloud. The tiny vial of belladonna sits like a relic on the table, a reminder of how quickly beauty can slip into something lethal. The room seems to lean closer around you, every candle's glow bending toward those black lake eyes. You wonder if the men in the hall outside, swaggering in velvet doublets, breath sweetened with spiced wine, would still find you beautiful if they knew the cost of this glassy stare. Would they be as entranced by the risk as they are by the glow? A soft sigh escapes you as the maid wipes a final tear from the corner of your eye. Whether it's from the drop or from something deeper, you're not sure. The music in the corridor grows louder, the low, insistent thrum of a lute that promises laughter and intrigue beyond this silent chamber. You stand, testing your balance. The world wavers at the edges of your vision, a gentle swirl that makes every step feel both graceful and precarious. You're no longer just yourself. You're an ideal, a vision of noble beauty crafted from powders and poisons, silks and sweet pouches. And tonight, you will carry that vision like a torch. Historians still argue whether women like you understood that belladonna was slowly poisoning them, or if the haze of court life made it easier to ignore. You feel the answer is written in the way your breath shortens, in the way your heartbeat quickens each time you catch your own reflection. As you leave the dressing table, your eyes catch the last glimmer of the vial's liquid heart, shimmering like moonlight. You know this glow will fade by morning, that your eyes will ache and your skin will burn. But for tonight, in the flicker of the candlelight and the hush of velvet curtains, you are luminous. You let the door close softly behind you, each step a careful balance between beauty and danger, your sight sharpened and softened all at once. And as you glide down the corridor, your black lake gaze catches every flicker of candlelight, every curious glance, a testament to the cost you're willing to pay for one night of perfection. The corridor ahead is alive with flickering lamplight, shadows dancing across frescoed walls of saints and sinners, and the soft music of courtly life murmurs just beyond the doors. But in your hand, you cradle a small bottle of rose oil, innocent enough in its first breath, but you know better. You tip the bottle slightly, watching the thick, golden liquid catch the candle's flicker. Rose oil, the sweet scent that promises elegance and warmth. It's said to soothe the nerves, to calm the spirit. But here, in the world of noble women, that same vial holds a secret as sharp as any dagger. The maid dabs a drop onto your wrist, and the perfume blooms in the warm air, lush and heady, like the secret gardens of Florence, where roses climb marble trellises. You tilt your wrist, inhaling the scent that carries both promise and peril. For this rose oil is no simple garden tincture. Some whispers say it was sometimes laced with mercury, an ancient alchemical addition meant to preserve the liquid's clarity and intensify its scent. Historians still argue whether mercury-laced perfumes were truly common or just whispered horror stories meant to terrify the unwary. You feel the truth sits in the hush of this dressing room. In the careful way, the maid's hand pauses over the bottle's neck. She knows the danger, as you do. But in a world that worships appearances, even poison can be an accessory. The rose oil clings to your skin like a second pulse, warm and dizzying. Its scent wraps around you, masking the sweat beneath your bodice, the heat of your breath in this crowded palace air. You know it's both shield and snare, a way to draw eyes, even as it might steal a heartbeat or two of your own. The music from the great hall grows clearer as you walk, each note of the lute weaving through the heavy air. You can almost taste the fragrance in your mouth, thick as honey and just as sweet. The court beyond those doors demands nothing less than perfection. One wrong scent, one missed note, and you might as well be invisible. You remember a half-forgotten story, a French noblewoman who wore so much rose oil that the scent lingered in the silk of her gowns long after she was gone, a haunting perfume that clung to her memory like a ghost. There's a part of you that understands that longing, to leave a trace, even if the price is measured in slow, quiet poison. The maid steps back, satisfied. She's done all she can. The rest is yours to carry, the weight of every drop of rose oil and every breath you take. You catch your reflection in a polished bronze shield hung for decoration, and the image staring back is both familiar and strange. A woman who glows, who glides, but whose scent might be her undoing. The corridor curves ahead, a soft path lined with tapestries depicting scenes of ancient myth. Ariadne abandoned on Naxos, Venus rising from the sea. You pause, one hand resting on the carved stone archway, your heart thrumming in the same rhythm as the lute's gentle song. The scent of rose oil clings to you, a promise of beauty and a warning of the dangers that lie in every bottle, every breath. You wonder if the men gathered in the great hall, eyes bright with wine and ambition, can smell the truth beneath the roses. Historians still argue whether these perfume poisons were an act of ignorance or of calculated allure. You suspect the answer is somewhere in the swirl of candlelight and the hush of velvet skirts, somewhere in the shimmer of mercury laced with petals. The world outside this quiet corridor awaits you, and you know that the perfume you wear is more than a luxury. It's a veil, a seduction, a testament to the lengths a woman will go to be seen, to be remembered, to be beautiful. And as you step forward, the scent of roses trailing like a promise behind you, you accept the cost, even as it seeps deeper into your skin with every breath. You take one last look at the bottle in your hand, then slip it into your bodice where it rests against your heart. For tonight, at least, you are a garden of roses and mercury, a whispered prayer wrapped in silk. And as you glide down the corridor, the sweet scent of danger weaving through every step, you wonder how many others will leave the same ghost of a rose behind. The weight of the rose oil lingers as you step into the final stage of your transformation, the corseted cage. It waits on the dressing stand like an iron maiden dressed in velvet, a delicate snare that promises poise and silhouette, but takes your breath as payment. Your maid's hands are steady as she holds it out to you. You can't help but feel a tiny shiver as you step into its embrace. The corset is crafted from layers of stiffened linen, whalebone, and velvet, each stitch designed to shape your body into the perfect hourglass. Historians still argue whether the noble women of Florence and Venice truly wore them every day, or if it was a ceremonial piece for courtly occasions only. But tonight, it's your second skin. The laces run down your back like a ladder of expectation. As the maid begins to pull, you feel your ribs compress, the soft flesh of your waist drawn tight. There's a brief, dizzy moment, a breath you can't quite catch, as the world narrows to a single, slow exhale. The maid's voice is soft and steady, a mantra of reassurance as she pulls and knots, pulls and knots. You've heard the jokes, of course. A lady's worth is measured in the inches of her waist. They're half-truths that echo through every ballroom and courtyard, a cruel reminder that beauty is both art and armor. You grip the edge of the dressing table as the final tug tightens the corset's embrace. Each breath, a careful negotiation between beauty and suffocation. The mirror shows you the result, a shape sculpted to please the eye, a silhouette of power and fragility. You're no longer just yourself. You're a living painting, a testament to the centuries-old promise that a noble woman's beauty is her best defense. The air feels thin and precious in your lungs, and you wonder, briefly, bitterly, whether any man in the great hall will ever know what it takes to look this way. The maid's fingers move with quiet efficiency, smoothing the velvet bodice over the corset's rigid lines. You can feel the stays pressing into your ribs with every breath, a constant reminder of the cost of your silhouette. There's an odd comfort in it, too. The way the corset holds you upright makes your back straight and your shoulders square. It's a cage, but it's also a shield, one that hides the quiver of your heart behind layers of whalebone and silk. Outside, the music of the court grows louder, laughter and lute strings, the low murmur of voices bartering alliances with every glance. You know that tonight, this corseted armor is as much a part of your strategy as the powdered mask on your face. You're a vision of nobility, and visions must be flawless. A small joke drifts through your mind, one you heard in hushed giggles from a maid. The tighter the corset, the closer to fainting, but at least you'll look divine while you fall. You smile faintly, even as you feel the pressure against your ribs deepen. Beauty, it seems, has never been for the faint of heart. Historians still argue whether noble women truly suffered in these corsets, or if the discomfort was just part of the performance. But you know the truth in your bones, literally. Every breath you take is a whisper of defiance, every shallow inhale a testament to your determination to be seen. The maid steps back, adjusting the final ribbon that dangles like a silken tail down your back. Your eyes meet in the mirror, and there's a flicker of understanding there, an unspoken acknowledgement of the price you've paid to become this vision of Renaissance beauty. You take a careful step forward, feeling the weight of the corset shift around your torso. It's a dance, this careful balancing act of beauty and pain, of power and vulnerability. And as you glide to the door, each breath a measured gift, you know you're ready to face the world outside. The velvet skirts sway around your ankles, each step a whisper of silk and stolen air. The door opens, and you step into the glow of the great hall. Candles blaze like stars above you, and every eye turns to watch. They see the grace in your posture, the shimmer of your hair, the soft curve of your waist shaped by whalebone and willpower. They don't see the tightness in your chest, the careful economy of every breath. But that's the secret you carry like a talisman, the quiet knowledge that beauty has always been a cage lined with silk. And as you move forward, a single thought echoes beneath the rustle of your skirts. Tonight, you are both prisoner and queen, and you will wear your corseted crown with pride. The hall before you stretches like a river of light, every flicker of candle flame glinting off the polished marble floors and shimmering in the jewels of those gathered here. You move slowly, every breath measured against the cage of your corset, your steps a careful dance of balance and grace. Tonight, your feet are not just hidden beneath velvet and brocade. They're elevated, quite literally, by the towering chopines strapped to your soles. You glance down at the polished wooden platforms that raise you nearly half a foot above the ground, each step a careful negotiation between fashion and the very real risk of a sprained ankle. Chopins, practical in a city of filthy, rain-soaked streets, but also the latest weapon in the arsenal of noble beauty. Historians still argue whether these towering shoes were purely practical or a deliberate flaunt of wealth, a declaration that you're so removed from the dust and dirt of the streets that you might as well be floating above them. Tonight, though, the answer feels as obvious as the ache in your calves. Your maid steadies you with a gentle touch as you step forward, the clatter of the wooden soles muffled by the rush of silk around your ankles. The sensation is both exhilarating and precarious. You feel taller, more regal, yet with each shift of your weight, there's a rush of fear that you might tumble, taking your careful dignity down with you. The other noble women around you wear chopines too, some taller than yours, some carved with intricate designs of flowers and vines. You catch sight of one woman whose shoes are so high she must lean on a lacquered cane to keep upright. There's a darkly comic thought that flickers through your mind. Whoever said beauty is effortless has clearly never tried to cross a marble floor in foot-tall platforms. The music swells in the background, a sweet, lilting melody of lutes and viols that might have soothed your nerves if not for the constant rhythmic clack of your own shoes against the tiles. It's a sound as ancient as the city's stones, a reminder that every step you take is watched, measured, judged. You feel the eyes of the men as they glance your way, taking in your measured steps, the proud tilt of your head balanced atop the tower of your hair. The chopines elevate you above them all, a silent declaration that you're not just another face in the crowd. You're a vision to be admired, a delicate monument to the excesses of noble life. Historians still argue whether these shoes were meant to keep the filth of the streets away or to keep the women of the court above the reach of the men who might try to draw them down. You suspect both are true, practicality and performance entwined in a single, tottering step. A maid hovers nearby with a watchful eye, ready to catch you if you stumble. Her hand on your elbow is both comforting and humiliating, a quiet reminder that even the tallest beauty is only ever a moment from falling. You take a careful breath, feeling the corset's iron embrace and the powder's ghostly glow on your cheeks, and you step forward. The conversation around you is a low murmur of politics and gossip, the steady hum of a world built on alliances and quiet betrayals. You're an ornament here, a jewel in the courtly display, but you're also a player. Every tilt of your head, every measured step, a move in the endless game. A soft laugh to your left draws your gaze. Two women giggling behind jeweled fans, their chopines nearly as high as yours. One lifts her skirt just enough to reveal the carved wood beneath, a glimpse of the secret world hidden beneath every gown. There's a moment of shared humor, a flash of understanding that even in this world of velvet and candlelight, gravity has no mercy. You shift your weight again, finding the balance that feels almost like flight, just enough to keep you poised, but not so much that you forget the price of every inch of elevation. And as you glide forward, the weight of the wooden soles and the corseted breath in your chest become a rhythm, a slow waltz that carries you deeper into the night. A part of you can't help but wonder how many noble women have fallen in these shoes. How many have risen again, powdered and perfumed, determined to keep the charade alive. Because in this world, to fall is to be seen, and to be seen is to survive, if only for another night. As you approach the grand staircase that descends to the ballroom, you pause, your breath shallow. The marble steps gleam in the candlelight, and you steel yourself for the descent. One hand clutches the banister, the other hovers near your skirts. And as you take the first step, the Chopins shift beneath you, a whisper of danger, a promise of grace. You hold your breath and step down, one careful inch at a time. And in that moment, balanced between elegance and risk, you feel the quiet truth of this life. That beauty, in the Renaissance, is always a performance, one that you will play to perfection. Let's pause here and imagine for a moment, what would you have done in their place? The great hall unfurls before you like a stage, each flickering candle casting an elongated shadow that seems to whisper your name. You glide forward, the clack of your Chopins softened by thick tapestries underfoot, but it's the rustle of your silk skirts that draws every gaze. Tonight, you're not just a woman. You're a performance of wealth and refinement, a living portrait of every unspoken hope and fear woven into the Renaissance's gilded tapestries. But as you pause at the edge of the crowd, adjusting the weight of your skirts and the careful poise of your head, you feel a sudden, quiet panic. The court is a place of beauty and power, but also of wardrobe malfunctions. A broken lace, a snagged hem, a single loose stitch that can turn a night of triumph into one of mortification. Your maid stands nearby, her eyes flickering from your shoes to the seams of your bodice. She knows what you're thinking. She's seen the silks tear in the rush of a dance, the velvet split under the strain of a too tight corset. Historians still argue whether these mishaps were truly common or merely whispered nightmares. But you suspect every noblewoman has felt that surge of terror at least once. You take a careful breath, feeling the tight embrace of the corset, the soft scratch of the petticoats, and the weight of the elaborate coiffure perched atop your head. One false move, and the delicate seams of your gown might betray you. There's a joke, half laughed, half prayed, that every noblewoman's greatest fear isn't a lost reputation, but a torn hem in front of a prince. The music shifts to a slower tune, and you glide forward, each step a prayer for the strength of your stitches. You remember the tailor's hands, brown and nimble, working by lamplight to coax the silk into perfection. You remember the way he measured each seam against your body, as though every inch of you was a canvas for his art. But even the finest craftsman cannot outwit the sharp edge of a chair, the sudden tug of a careless courtier's sleeve. You catch a flicker of movement, a noble woman bending to greet a lord, her bodice shifting just enough to reveal a torn seam at her waist. Her face is a mask of calm, but you see the flicker of horror in her eyes. She turns, letting her heavy skirt swirl around her like a protective curtain, and you feel a pang of sympathetic dread. In a world that measures you by your appearance, even the smallest flaw can feel like a wound. A servant slips past, arms laden with fresh linens, and you notice the quick flick of her eyes toward your hem. It's a silent pact, this world of seams and stitches, a mutual understanding that beneath every perfect gown lies a network of tiny, invisible weaknesses. You lift your skirts a fraction higher as you walk, testing the strength of your stitches with each measured step. There's a quirk of humor in all this, though, a quiet acknowledgement that even the most lavish gown is still at the mercy of gravity and human clumsiness. You catch the eye of another woman across the hall, her jeweled headdress shimmering in the candlelight. She winks, a tiny gesture of solidarity in a world that demands so much from its women. You can almost hear her unspoken joke. We're all one snap thread away from scandal. Historians still argue whether these moments of vulnerability were part of the performance or a crack in its perfect facade. You think of the seamstress's careful stitches, the tailor's whispered prayers as he sewed, and you know the truth is somewhere in the in-between. A quiet fear that lives beneath the glamour. A reminder that even silk can tear. The music swells again, the lute's gentle melody weaving through the room like a thread of gold. You move forward, every inch of you, a testament to both beauty and the constant threat of unraveling. And in that tension, you find a strange comfort, the knowledge that every woman here understands the delicate dance of pins and needles, of silks that cling and laces that snap. As you glide through the crowd, your skirts swirl around you like a whispered promise that tonight, at least, you will keep the seams whole, the stitches tight, and the illusion of perfection unbroken. You feel the soft weight of your gown, the gentle give of each seam, and you wonder how long it will last, how long before the world glimpses the quiet, messy humanity hidden beneath all this velvet and brocade. But for now, you walk on, a queen in your own silent drama, every step a testament to the hidden threads that hold your world together. You pause at the edge of the crowd, feeling the soft warmth of the candlelight brush your cheeks, the way the heavy air seems to cradle your every breath. It's time for another performance, the delicate art of the beauty diet. You've heard the whispers. Some call it devotion, others call it desperation. Either way, you know it's another quiet cost, another hidden currency in the endless dance of noble life. Your maid offers you a tray of sugared almonds and honeyed figs, their sweet scent tempting in the flickering light. You lift one to your lips, but your stomach flutters in protest. You've learned to ignore the hollow ache in your belly. After all, a smaller waist means a prettier silhouette, a tighter corset, and a softer sigh of admiration from those who matter most. Historians still argue whether these beauty diets were a deliberate choice or a quiet surrender to the demands of fashion. You suspect it's both, another way to shape your body into something worthy of the portraits that hang in gilded halls. You take a careful bite of the almond, feeling the sugary shell dissolve on your tongue, even as your ribs whisper with the effort of breathing. The music shifts to a gentle waltz, and you see the glimmer of the feast laid out on long wooden tables, platters of roasted quail, bowls of candied fruits, and flasks of ruby red wine. Your mouth waters at the sight, but you know the rules. A true noblewoman eats delicately, as though her appetite is as fragile as her porcelain skin. You catch a glimpse of a young girl across the room, her eyes wide with longing as she gazes at the sweetmeats piled high. She's new to court life, still caught between the hunger of a growing body and the strictures of beauty. You remember that feeling, the way your belly rumbled louder than the music, the way you learned to hide it behind a polite smile. Your maid leans close, her voice a soft murmur. "Just a sip, my lady," she says, offering a goblet of watered wine. The liquid is cool and sweet, and you take a careful sip, feeling it settle like a balm in your empty stomach. It's enough for now. Enough to keep you standing, to keep the glow on your cheeks and the soft curves of your bodice unbroken. There's a dark humor in it all, a quiet joke you share with the other women here. "We dine on air and powdered sugar," one lady once said, her voice light as she traced the rim of her cup. You smiled at the time, but tonight, the truth of it sits heavy in your chest. You wonder how many nights these women lie awake, stomachs hollow, and dreams full of feasts they'll never taste. Historians still argue whether this beauty diet was truly a matter of choice, or if it was simply another way to wield control over a world that gave you so few choices at all. You think of the men gathered around the feast, their laughter echoing through the hall as they tear into roasted meats and wash it down with wine. Their hunger is not something to be hidden. It's a mark of strength, a sign of power. But for you, and for every woman in this room, hunger is a secret companion, an invisible thread woven into the silk of your skirts, the soft curve of your painted cheek. You stand a little taller, breathing a little shallower, and you wonder if anyone here sees the quiet strength it takes to deny the body's simplest need. A minstrel begins to sing, his voice low and mournful, weaving tales of lovers separated by sea and fate. The music seems to echo the ache in your chest, the hollow place where the feast should be. You let the notes wash over you, each one a balm for the gnawing hunger that curls in your belly. You catch the eye of another lady across the room, her fingers picking delicately at a single sugared violet, her gaze steady and resigned. In that glance, you see yourself, the quiet endurance, the small rebellions hidden in every polite refusal. She lifts the flower to her lips, lets it dissolve on her tongue, and you know she tastes the same bitter sweetness you do. The music grows louder, the dance begins again, and you step forward, your feet light as you join the swirling waltz. The hunger fades to the background as you move, each step a reminder that the body can be trained to obey, that beauty is an art that demands constant vigilance. Historians still argue whether these rituals of denial were acts of piety or of vanity, whether they were a prayer or a punishment. But as you spin beneath the glittering chandeliers, you know that for tonight, at least, you are both penitent and queen, your empty stomach a quiet testament to the power of a single glance in this world of velvet and powdered secrets. You breathe in the scent of the rose oil on your wrists, the faint sweetness of the almond still lingering on your tongue, and you hold your head high. The music crescendos, the dance quickens, and you glide through it all. Hunger and grace, sacrifice and beauty. Each breath a silent vow to the cost you're willing to pay. As the dance winds down, you slip quietly away from the crowded hall, your breath still quick from the endless swirl of skirts and whispered laughter. You find a quiet alcove near the edge of the room, half hidden behind a curtain of velvet the color of night. Here, the flicker of candlelight softens, and the shadows seem to sigh around you. Your maid appears as if conjured from the darkness, holding a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid the color of moonlight. She murmurs of secret potions, whispered recipes said to grant youth and beauty beyond the reach of time. You accept the vial, feeling its cool weight in your hand, a tiny promise or a dangerous temptation. The liquid shimmers as you tilt it, catching the candlelight in a swirl of silver and pearl. Crushed pearls, they say, ground to a fine powder and mixed with honey or milk, painted onto the skin to catch the light of every candle, every watchful eye. Historians still argue whether these elixirs truly worked, or if they were just another hopeful illusion woven by desperate hands. You lift the vial to your lips, hesitating for a breath. The scent is faintly sweet, tinged with something earthy, snail water perhaps, or the ghost of some ancient herb. You've heard the rumors that noble women would distill the essence of snails and rose petals, hoping to smooth their skin and banish the first whisper of a line. There's a half joke that these potions tasted of the garden's damp secrets, mud and moonlight, coaxed into a bottle. You sip carefully, the liquid cool on your tongue. The taste is strange, sharp, then sweet, like honey over river stones. A shiver runs down your spine, though whether it's from the potion's chill or the weight of all those whispered promises, you're not sure. The maid watches you with careful eyes, her own breath held as though she too has tasted this quiet gamble. The court beyond the curtain is a blur of laughter and music, a world that expects you to shine no matter the cost. You run your fingers along the velvet, feeling the weight of the hidden vials sewn into the lining of your skirts. Tiny bottles of hope and hazard, each one a testament to how far you're willing to go. Historians still argue whether these secret potions were an act of desperation or of power. You suspect they were both. In a world where beauty was the first step to influence, every sip was a wager, every shimmering drop a prayer for tomorrow's glow. You feel the faint tingling on your skin, a gentle warmth that seems to bloom in your cheeks. The maid smiles faintly, smoothing a stray curl back into place. She knows the power of these small rituals, how they can turn a tired girl into a vision of otherworldly grace, if only for a night. A soft laugh from beyond the curtain draws your gaze. Two young women lean close, their heads nearly touching, as they share a conspiratorial whisper. You see the flush on their cheeks, the bright gleam of ambition in their eyes, and you know they've tasted the same potions you have. You wonder what they've traded for this fleeting radiance, what secret promises they've swallowed in the name of beauty. You take another careful sip, feeling the liquid slide down your throat like a half-remembered dream. The taste clings to your lips, a faint sweetness that mingles with the rose oil on your wrists. You close your eyes for a moment, breathing in the scent of honey and petals, and let the warmth settle in your chest. The music swells again, the lute's gentle melody weaving through the hush of the alcove. You know you can't stay hidden here forever. The court demands your return, your presence a living testament to the promise of these potions. But for this moment, you savor the quiet magic of the liquid in your veins, the soft whisper of crushed pearls on your tongue. You wonder if the other women feel it too, the strange exhilaration of this secret beauty, the way it seems to pulse beneath the skin, a promise of something more. Historians still argue whether these potions were real or merely the illusions of desperate hearts. You feel the answer in the beat of your pulse, in the hush of your breath, real enough to matter, if only for tonight. And as you step out from the velvet curtain, the vial warm against your palm, you know that in this world of powdered masks and velvet prisons, even the smallest vial of shimmering liquid can be a talisman of hope, a fragile, shimmering promise that beauty can be claimed, if only for a moment. warmth of the potion still lingers on your tongue as you glide back into the hall, the soft glow of the candles painting your skin in gentle gold. Around you, laughter and music twine together, a tapestry of sound that shimmers like the crushed pearls hidden in the potions you've tasted. But now, it's time to complete the transformation. Time to wear your beauty, not just on your skin, but as a crown of wealth and power. A small gilded box waits for you near the edge of the room, its surface etched with curling vines and tiny flowers that catch the light. The maid opens it with practiced reverence, revealing the secret within: gold leaf, fine as breath, and tiny jars of powdered jewels, amethyst, lapis, crushed into dust to catch the glow of every candle. You lean forward, breath shallow against the corset's embrace, as she lifts the first sheet of gold leaf with a delicate brush. It drifts in the candlelight, a gossamer promise that settles lightly against your cheekbone. The sensation is soft and cool, a whisper of luxury that seems to shimmer with every heartbeat. Historians still argue whether these gilded powders were meant to nourish the skin or simply to proclaim wealth. A quiet war waged on the faces of women who had everything and nothing at once. The maid's hands are steady, each stroke of the brush another thread in the mask you wear tonight. She dips into the tiny jar of crushed amethyst next, pressing the pale purple dust into the corners of your eyes until they seem to glow with a light all their own. You catch your reflection in a silver mirror, no longer just a woman, but a living canvas of shimmering wealth. There's a half joke that echoes through the court. A lady's worth is written in the dust of her face. You smile faintly, even as the gold leaf tightens across your skin. The powder glitters with every breath, turning your skin into a jeweled tapestry that speaks louder than any title or family crest. You're not just beautiful, you're untouchable, an icon of privilege that both dazzles and shields. You remember reading that some noble women would press actual diamonds into their skin, tiny, brilliant fragments that caught the light and proclaimed their status in every glance. You've never gone that far, but tonight, the gold leaf and jewel dust are enough. They whisper to the world that you are more than flesh and bone. You are the very reflection of your family's fortune. The maid's final touch is a soft dusting of crushed coral across your lips, a vivid echo of the sea's secret heart. The color is both daring and demure, a promise of warmth that cuts through the cold gleam of the powders on your cheeks. Historians still argue whether this practice of gem-laden beauty was a mere whim or a carefully crafted display of power. You feel the truth in the weight of every powdered breath, each shimmering grain, another brick in the fortress of noble perfection. The hall around you shifts, the laughter growing louder as the evening deepens. You step forward, each movement deliberate, your head held high beneath the towering weight of your hair and the jewel dust that clings to your skin. The world seems to pause for a breath as you glide through the crowd, each candle's glow caught in the shimmer of your face like tiny stars in a midnight sky. A man's gaze lingers a little too long, his eyes tracing the soft gleam of the gold leaf along your temple. Another courtier's head bows a fraction lower as you pass, his voice faltering mid-laugh. You feel their eyes like gentle hands, each glance a reminder that your beauty tonight is more than mere adornment. It's a statement, a shield, a weapon. The music shifts again, the soft trill of a harp weaving through the hum of voices. You pause near a marble pillar, the cool stone a comfort against the heat that flickers beneath the powdered mask. For a moment, you allow yourself a single quiet breath, a moment of stillness in a world that demands constant performance. You catch sight of another lady, her face dusted with a shimmer of crushed emerald, her lips the soft blush of crushed rubies. You exchange a fleeting glance, one of recognition, of understanding. Here, beauty is a currency, and every shimmer of gold or gemstone is another coin in the endless game. Historians still argue whether these jeweled masks were born of vanity or of necessity. But as you stand there, the weight of your own mask, heavy and glittering, you know it's both. In this world of marble and music, your face is your fortune, and tonight, you are rich beyond measure. As the music swells and the dance begins anew, you step forward, your gold-dusted cheeks catching the candle's glow, your powdered lips a quiet promise of power and grace. You are more than a woman. You are a legend, written in dust and light, a testament to the cost of noble beauty. The dance floor beckons with a gentle, pulsing invitation, a tide of silken skirts and jeweled gazes that washes against the marble floor. You step forward, each motion slow and deliberate, feeling the pull of the music in your blood. The harp's soft strings ripple through the air, weaving a delicate web of melody that seems to catch the flicker of every candle, every glance. As you move, you catch the eye of a courtier, a young man in a doublet of midnight blue. His smile is bright as the silver embroidery that edges his sleeves. He inclines his head, offering his hand with a courtly flourish. You place your fingertips in his palm, feeling the weight of the jewel dust on your skin, the faint tremor of your breath beneath the corset's iron embrace. The dance begins, a gentle turning waltz that leaves you lightheaded with every slow pivot. Each step is a careful balance, your chopines testing your poise as you glide across the floor. The music seems to fill the air like perfume, sweet and cloying, and for a moment you almost forget the ache in your ribs, the slow burn of the rose oil beneath your skin. The young courtier's gaze flickers to the gold dust at your temples, the shimmer of crushed amethyst at your eyes. There's a glint of admiration in his smile, but also a flicker of calculation. Historians still argue whether courtly glances were merely polite gestures or the first sparks of silent negotiations. Each look a step in the endless waltz of alliances and power. Tonight, you feel the truth of it in the weight of his gaze. Each glance is a silent bid, each turn of the dance a promise wrapped in velvet and powdered mystery. The conversation flows in gentle murmurs between steps, soft questions about your family, your connections, your thoughts on the music. You answer with the same care you give each breath, your words measured and honeyed, your laughter as light as the pearl powder on your cheeks. It's a game you know well, this quiet sparring of wit and charm, where every word can lift or break a future. A fleeting touch at your waist, a brush of fingertips against your gloved hand. Each gesture is as deliberate as the tilt of your head, the measured arch of your brow. There's a half joke you once heard. A lady's dance is a chessboard of hearts. You feel it now in the way your partner's smile doesn't quite reach his eyes, in the way he weighs every compliment like a coin. The dance swirls on, the music's rhythm mirrored in the quickening beat of your heart. The scent of rose oil and the sweet breath of clove-filled pomanders twine in the air, a tapestry of perfume and promise that clings to your skin. You wonder how many other women have danced this same dance, wearing the same powdered masks and velvet smiles, each one a player in this court of fragile alliances. You catch the gaze of another lady across the floor, her lips dusted with coral and her eyes lined with kohl. There's a quiet understanding in her glance, a shared knowledge that behind every polite smile and soft word lies a battlefield of shifting favors and whispered secrets. She lifts her fan in a graceful arc, her eyes never leaving yours. For a moment, you're not alone. You're part of a sisterhood of women who have learned to turn beauty into both shield and blade. Historians still argue whether these dances were mere diversions or crucial moments of negotiation. You feel the answer in the way the courtier's hand tightens on yours as the music slows, in the way your own breath seems to catch in your throat as you tilt your head just so. Here, in the hush of the waltz, every heartbeat is a quiet gamble, every smile a silent treaty. The music reaches its final note, a soft sigh that seems to echo the weight of every glance, every step. You curtsy, your skirts rustling like whispered secrets, and the courtier bows low, his eyes lingering on the shimmer of gold at your cheek. As you rise, you feel the echo of the dance still in your bones, a quiet, thrumming reminder that in this world, beauty is both your armor and your battlefield. You slip away from the dance floor, your breath shallow and your heart quick. The quiet of the marble hall feels almost like a balm, a moment's respite from the endless performance. You press your hand to the cold stone, feeling its steadiness against the tremor of your pulse. And in that quiet, you remember that this is the way of the world here, to glide through the dance with grace and purpose, to let each glance be both invitation and defense. In this waltz of powder and perfume, you are both player and prize, each turn a testament to the quiet strength that lies beneath your powdered mask. As you step away from the dance floor, the hush of the velvet drapes and the flicker of candlelight draw you into a quieter corner of the great hall. Here, the laughter softens, the music fades into a distant murmur, and you find yourself in a space between performance and reflection. A gilded mask rests on a marble pedestal nearby, an invitation to the next stage of the evening's pageant. You lift the mask, feeling the weight of it in your gloved hands. It's a delicate creation, all swirling gold filigree and tiny, glimmering gems, meant to both reveal and conceal, a duality that feels achingly familiar. You trace the smooth edges with your thumb, the cool metal, a quiet echo of your own carefully curated face. The mask settles over your features with a soft sigh of silk ribbon. Your reflection in the polished bronze mirror is both familiar and strange, eyes gleaming beneath the cutouts, lips a perfect rosebud of powdered coral. Behind this mask, you are both yourself and someone else entirely, a vision that can smile without consequence, that can hide the quiet tremor of your breath behind a gilded smile. Historians still argue whether these masks were born of necessity or vanity, whether they offered protection or power. You feel the answer in the way your shoulders relax as the mask settles into place. It's a shield, yes, but also a weapon, a way to slip through the endless maze of courtly glances and whispered secrets unscathed. You step forward, the weight of the mask light, but commanding. The world beyond the velvet drapes is a swirl of masked faces and muted laughter, each person transformed into something more than flesh and bone, a living myth, a fleeting illusion. You catch glimpses of painted eyes and jeweled lips, of peacock feathers and velvet plumes, each mask a promise, each step a silent story. A courtier in a black velvet mask bows low as you pass, his eyes glinting with curiosity. You wonder what he sees in your own masked gaze. A goddess of the moon, perhaps, or a siren woven from candlelight and crushed pearl. There's a thrill in the anonymity, a freedom that comes with being both seen and unseen. Behind the mask, you can laugh more freely, your voice a soft lilt of mystery and mischief. The music begins again, a haunting melody that threads through the candlelit hall like a lover's sigh. You let the sound pull you forward, each step measured and graceful. The mask softens the edges of the world, turning every glance into a game, every smile into a secret. You feel the weight of the jewel dust on your skin, the rose oil's lingering warmth, and the faint glow of the potion you sipped earlier. Each one a quiet echo of the price you've paid to stand here, radiant and unreadable. There's a quiet joke you share with another masked lady as you pass, her mask a cascade of peacock feathers that tremble with every breath. "We're all ghosts tonight," she says with a soft laugh, and you smile in return, your own voice low and conspiratorial. Historians still argue whether these masquerades were mere diversions or subtle declarations of power. You feel the answer in the electric hush that follows your every step, the knowledge that behind the mask you can be anyone, anything. You pause at the edge of the hall, the mask's weight gentle on your face. Beyond the golden glow of the candles, the night air beckons through an open archway, the scent of jasmine and cool marble drifting in. You slip outside, the mask still in place, and the garden beyond feels like a dream. Silver moonlight on stone paths, the soft sigh of water in hidden fountains. You breathe deeply, the air cool and sweet after the close heat of the ballroom. The mask softens the world, turning every shadow into a secret, every flicker of movement into a whispered invitation. You wonder how many other noblewomen have stood here, their masks hiding both fear and desire, their hearts beating with the same quiet hunger for something more. Historians still argue whether these masks were a rebellion against the rigid roles of court life, or simply another layer of the same endless performance. You suspect the truth is somewhere in between, a quiet defiance wrapped in velvet and gold, a reminder that even in a world that demands so much, you can still choose how you are seen. As you turn back toward the hall, the mask glimmers softly in the moonlight, each gem catching the silver glow like a star. You let the hush of the night settle around you, the weight of the mask a gentle promise of both freedom and constraint. And as you step back into the warmth of the candles and the music, your masked face lifted high, you know that tonight you are both ghost and goddess, shadow and light, a silent testament to the cost and the power of noble beauty. The hush of the masked garden lingers in your mind as you re-enter the hall, the weight of your disguise gentle and comforting. You glide forward, your reflection shimmering in the polished marble floors, an echo of yourself caught between candlelight and shadow. Here, in this world of velvet whispers and jeweled glances, you carry the beauty of centuries on your shoulders, each step a testament to a burden born in silence. The air inside is warmer, thick with the scent of beeswax candles and crushed rose petals. Every breath is a reminder of the careful, deliberate transformation that has turned you into this living masterpiece. You catch your reflection in a tall silver mirror, eyes wide and gleaming, lips a soft promise of color, the shimmer of gold leaf like a halo in the candlelight, and beneath it all, the quiet truth of your heartbeat, steady and sure, despite the weight of all these rituals. You move carefully through the crowd, each movement measured, your skirts a hush of velvet against the stone floor. Everywhere you look, there are faces, some masked, some bare, but all of them playing the same game, a dance of glances and gestures, where beauty is both shield and weapon. Historians still argue whether this constant performance was a prison or a stage, but as you walk, you feel the truth in the ache of your spine and the soft strain of every breath. A lady passes by, her mask painted with silver stars that catch the light like tiny moons. Her powdered face is a canvas of careful artistry, every brush of pearl dust and flick of coal, a vow to the world that she will be beautiful, no matter the price. You see the way her shoulders stiffen when a seam of her bodice pulls tight, the way her breath shortens beneath the weight of her corset. There's a quiet strength in that, a fierce grace that you recognize in your own reflection. The music shifts again, a slow, mournful melody that seems to pull at the edges of the room like the sigh of a tired heart. You pause, letting the sound wash over you, feeling the soft echo of your footsteps against the ancient stone. In this moment, you are both part of the story and a witness to it, a single, flickering candle in the endless darkness of time. There's a joke you remember, whispered by a maid as she laced your bodice tighter. Beauty is pain, but at least it's polite enough to hide it. You feel the truth of that now, in the soft burn of the lead powder on your skin, in the tight embrace of your stays, in the gentle tremor of your fingers as you adjust your mask. And yet, even in the pain, there's a kind of power, a quiet defiance that says you will not be broken by the world's demands. You find a quiet corner near the edge of the hall, a small alcove half hidden by a tapestry that shimmers with the golden threads of a long-forgotten story. Here, the candlelight is softer, the music a distant echo, and for a moment, you allow yourself to breathe. Your fingers trace the curve of your mask, feeling the cool metal, the tiny flecks of jewel dust that catch the light. Behind the mask, you can smile or frown, you can hide or reveal, and no one will ever know the truth but you. Historians still argue whether these masks and powders were the tools of a woman's power, or the chains that bound her to a life of silent suffering. You suspect they were both, each brush of powder, each shimmering gem, both a promise and a price. And as you stand there, your breath slow and measured, you feel the weight of that history settle around you like a cloak. A soft voice pulls you from your thoughts. Another lady, her mask a delicate lattice of silver and pearl, her eyes bright with quiet laughter. She speaks of the night's beauty, of the way the music weaves through the candlelight, of the soft promise of dawn. You smile in return, your own voice low and calm, and for a moment, the masks slip away, and you are simply two women sharing the hush of a hidden moment. The music swells, and you know it's time to return to the dance, to the careful game of beauty and power that waits beyond the shadows. You adjust your mask, feeling the gentle press of the velvet ties against your skin, and you step forward, your head held high. Because in this world of velvet and rose oil, of powdered masks and whispered glances, you are both prisoner and queen, each breath a testament to the quiet, unwavering strength that lies beneath the shimmer and silk. And as you move through the candlelit hall, every step a careful promise to yourself, you know that no matter how heavy the burden, you will carry it with grace. The night deepens, and the music winds around the marble columns like a silken thread, weaving shadows and laughter in equal measure. You glide forward, every inch of your body honed to the rhythm of the court's quiet demands. But as you move, you catch the faintest flicker of something different, a spark of defiance glinting in the eyes of another lady just beyond the candle's glow. She stands with her back straight, her mask a simple strip of black velvet that does nothing to hide the quiet, determined tilt of her chin. Her hair is less elaborate than the swirling towers that scrape the ceilings tonight. Her gown plainer in cut, still fine, still beautiful, but with a kind of easy elegance that speaks of choice rather than obligation. There's a hush around her, a small circle of space, as though the world itself has paused to see what she will do. You watch as she lifts a small vial from the folds of her skirts. No gilded box or silver spoon, but a humble bottle of balm that glints softly in the candlelight. She touches it to her lips, a tiny act that carries the weight of quiet rebellion. No crushed pearls, no mercury-laced powders, just the simple, healing salve of herbs and beeswax, a secret defiance in a world that demands poison as the price of beauty. Historians still argue whether such women truly existed, those who chose the path of gentler beauty, who turned away from the lead and belladonna in favor of nature's quiet gifts. But as you watch her, you feel the truth in the calm set of her shoulders, the soft curve of her smile that needs no powder to bloom. She meets your gaze, and in that moment, something unspoken passes between you. A memory of rosewater and rosemary, of the ways women have always found to soften the sharp edges of the world. A whisper of the possibility that there is more to this life than the slow burn of lead and the careful cut of whalebone. There's a flicker of humor in her eyes, a private joke that only the two of you share. You remember the stories of wise women who brewed secret salves in hidden still rooms, whose potions smelled of thyme and mint rather than vinegar and death. You wonder if she carries the same quiet knowledge in the lines of her hands. The music swells, and she slips away, vanishing into the crowd like a shadow. But her absence leaves a warmth in your chest, a small glowing ember of hope that flares each time you draw breath. You feel the weight of your own powdered mask, the shimmer of gold leaf on your skin, and for the first time tonight, you feel the tug of something deeper, a question that echoes in the hush of your heartbeat. Historians still argue whether such small rebellions truly mattered, whether they were enough to change the tide of a world that worshipped appearances above all. But you know the truth in your bones. Every soft balm, every whispered recipe for healing is a quiet defiance against the cruelty of perfection. You move through the hall, your steps as measured as ever, but inside, you carry the memory of her calm defiance like a talisman. The rose oil on your skin seems sweeter, the weight of the corset a little easier to bear. You remember the scent of rosemary in the bath, the cool touch of lavender water, the softness of beeswax that lingers longer than any gilded powder. A small smile tugs at the corner of your lips as you join the dance once more. You catch the eye of another lady across the floor, her painted face a flawless mask of powdered white and crushed emerald. She watches you, curiosity bright in her eyes, and you wonder if she, too, has ever felt the soft balm of rebellion beneath the lead and luster. The music winds around you, and you move with it, every step a silent echo of the quiet acts of defiance that breathe beneath the powdered masks of noblewomen. Because even in this world of velvet and rose oil, of jewel dust and whispered bargains, there are always those who find a gentler way. And as you twirl beneath the shimmering glow of the chandeliers, your heart steady and your breath deep, you know that tonight, beneath the powdered mask and the shimmering dust, you carry a secret promise, that beauty can be both armor and kindness, and that in the quiet corners of the world, rebellion can be as soft as a balm of rosemary and beeswax. The music swells to its final crescendo as the night's festivities near their close. The great hall glimmers with the last breath of candlelight, each flame flickering against the velvet darkness beyond the arched windows. You stand at the edge of it all, your masked face a portrait of serene elegance, but within you hums the gentle echo of every moment, every careful breath you've taken to hold this mask in place. Your skirts whisper around your ankles as you glide forward, the hush of brocade and the faintest scent of rose oil clinging to the air. The world seems to slow, each heartbeat stretching long and soft. The weight of the powdered mask and the jewel dust on your skin, a gentle ache that tethers you to the earth, even as you feel yourself drifting in the music's final notes. The court gathers in clusters of soft laughter and murmured confidences, their faces half shadowed by the dying light. You see the faint smudges of powder beneath a lady's eyes, the slight weariness in the set of another's shoulders. Each woman here is a testament to the quiet burden of beauty, the endless performance that leaves no space for weakness. You catch a glimpse of your reflection in a polished bronze plate on a nearby table. The gold leaf glows softly, the rose oils sheen like a whispered secret, but beneath it all, you see the faint smudge of fatigue at the corner of your mouth. And for the first time tonight, you allow yourself to see not the perfection, but the quiet truth beneath it. A woman who has risked everything for a fleeting glow in the candlelight. Historians still argue whether noble women understood the price they paid for this beauty, whether they knew the lead would leach their skin and the mercury-laced perfumes would poison their breath. You know the answer in the ache of your ribs, in the soft pulse of your temples beneath the powdered weight. Yes, you know. And yet, you chose it anyway. A soft voice drifts through the hush, a minstrel's final song, his voice low and tender as he weaves a ballad of lost love and moonlight. The notes curl around you like a lullaby, and you close your eyes, letting the words settle in your bones. For a moment, the court falls away, the velvet and gold and powdered masks dissolving into a quiet softness that tastes of rosewater and memory. You think of the woman you saw earlier, her small vial of beeswax balm, a silent rebellion against the weight of expectation. You think of every woman here tonight who has walked the same careful path, each breath a testament to the delicate dance between survival and self. Historians still argue whether these quiet acts of resistance mattered in the grand tapestry of history. You believe they did, because in this world of painted masks and whispered secrets, even the smallest defiance can be a kind of freedom. The song ends, a soft sigh that seems to echo in the hush of the hall. You open your eyes, your breath slow and deep, and you let the final notes fade into the night. Around you, the court begins to shift, the weight of the evening settling into the hush of closing doors and trailing laughter. You slip away from the center of the hall, your steps careful, your heart a quiet drumbeat beneath the corset's gentle embrace. The rose oil on your skin has faded to a faint memory. The gold leaf no longer glimmers quite so brightly, and the jewel dust feels like a final sigh of stardust on your cheeks. And yet, as you walk, you feel lighter, each step a soft promise that there is more to beauty than the mask, more to survival than the poison-laced powders that cling to your skin. In the hush of the night, you carry the memory of every quiet act of rebellion you've seen, every whispered secret of rosemary and rosewater that sings of gentler strength. The marble corridor stretches before you, and you move forward, your steps soft and measured, each breath a prayer of both exhaustion and quiet triumph. Because tonight, you have been both prisoner and queen. And in the final hush of the candles, you know that even the cost of noble beauty cannot silence the gentle defiance that lingers in your heartbeat. You pause at the threshold of your chamber, the soft glow of moonlight spilling through the high arched windows. You press your fingertips to your masked cheek, feeling the faint warmth of your own skin beneath the cold powder and jewel dust. And as you slip inside, the door closing softly behind you, you let out a single, silent breath, a sigh that carries both the weight of the evening and the quiet promise of dawn. Good stories don't just help us sleep, they help us wake up differently tomorrow.